Okay.
Now I was saying about it, and I became so-called the chief editor, but then I became the
Chief Financial Officer.
chief financial officer.
But the books weren't balancing.
The books are not balancing, never did. I never stole one penny. In fact, I was volunteering for a while, from 1945 to 1946, and was or 47. I don't remember now when was the big stabilization of the money. Money stabilization was, in a sense, that we have to give all the money back to the government, the old money, which is about worth nothing, because we pay for about 5 million lei for a tram. That means money, inflation or so, out of hand. So they tried to stabilize it. So how they stabilize it is by impoverishing everybody. How they do that, they took the money and they said you can have as much, everybody can have up to 5,000, I don't know how many, new lei, new money.
What is lei?
Leu lei is the currency of Romania, L-E-U, L-E-I, singular and plural. And, but also they allowed everybody who had foreign exchange or gold pieces to exchange at the official rate without penalty. I mean, otherwise you have to go to jail. Not allowed to own foreign exchange. So we did have, we of course didn't change everything, but we did change some gold pieces. And I remember I was at the bank and I changed and I got some money. In the meantime I was working there, right? And Segal says, listen, I am getting paid for being here. You work here full time. You see, my classes were in the evening. All classes was in the evening. So I said it was 112 types, all in the evening. People, working people like me. So he says, you're working here, so you should get paid. I said, I'm embarrassed to get paid. I work here because I like what I'm doing. So he said, no, you have to get paid. So he started paying me, and that came at a very good time because my father at that time lost his business. That was 47, in I think April 47 or something. Or I don't know, in 46, I don't remember exactly. Now 46, 47. My father, in the meantime, because he was not allowed to, to charge more than he paid for, but in the meantime...
He was not allowed to charge more than he paid for.
I mean, the charge with the new prices was a thing that he had to liquidate. So he liquidated the business. He had, the store downtown. He liquidated the business. He didn't make any money anymore. The only one who was there made money now was me. And I made a good salary. Let's say, like equivalent now would be about, for Romania, I was getting about 100 lei, let's say would be about $1,000 equivalent now a month, which was very good, very well. Because a movie was about 50 cents, it's not milk was about 25 cents a liter. I say all in terms of Romanian, that my pay was enough to support the family.
It'd be more than 1,000 a month.
But I don't know how much I made. The point was I made enough money to support the family. And then I took the money and I gave it all to my father every month. He was paid month, not weekly. And
so you were making enough for the whole family
But
by writing for this journal?
The family was only really by by that time was the only Muriel and I. Harry didn't live with us. And
Well, Morel, you and your parents.
right.
But and
Muriel
then
only for a while. Muriel only for a while because after he left Israel. But Harry lived, I told you before, he lived with his friends, Benny, Meirovich,
and he was
Trudy, and everybody else.
and he was making money.
He was not making money.
So how was he? Was he paying rent with them, or was he?
I don't know how he arranged it. They were all poverty stricken, so it didn't matter. He came home to eat and so forth, but he never lived with us in Bucharest. He never lived with us in Bucharest. He lived separately. He was going to my aunt,
Right.
So then. So up till I left Romania, I was working there. And that was about, I don't know, a year or so.
And you were writing, and you were doing the books.
I was writing, I was doing the books. It was really quite essential that I became. And we write what you publish one about every second month, we didn't. You need a lot of money to publish, to have that not to keep this journal. You see it at home, and when you come to Boston, I'll show it to you. We have it. We have a few couple of numbers. I don't know, we have 2 or 3. And in the meantime, I was friendly with Baby and Isaac, and we since the year before, for summer of 45, 46, my father had TB. He had to go to mountains. And that was the idea about that time. You have to eat ham, fat ham, and go to the mountains. My father ate ham and to the mountains. And so we took him to Kimpulung. Kimpulung is
Was he religious? Was it a big deal for him to eat ham?
Of course, but he ate anyway. He needed. In fact, it was not available, so who brought to us a cousin from Baku, who made money on the black market too, like everybody else. He made money, so he came to Bucharest. He always brought a few kilos of ham, and we had an ice box at that time. My aunt Yeti threw away our ice box, an old one, so we had it. We bought ice, and we had water coming down. We went to Kipulung. So on the same train, lo and behold, was Baby went to me. So we had a very good time that year. We went together. The second year, that was 47, I think, I went only with my parents, and Baby and I said, meet me there, and we took that famous hike. We took one hike there. See, I used to go hike also before I went to Baby and climb the mountain. Not climb, hike the mountain. I never climbed, I always hiked. Anyway, we decided to hike around, to go in one place of the mountain and come down to other place. There were no trails there, real.
Mm-hmm.
We took a train to Vatradorne, and we started the hike there, which is a little further than Kimpulung. It's all beautiful mountains there. It's Carpathian. And we went up to the Bistrica, which is a very fast river. And we had to cross, and we took a, how do you call it, and somebody crossed that by when wood put together, piece of wood put together. How do you call that? They show
A raft?
a raft. Very funny to go
You
to
crossed
a
a river with a raft?
It's a very fast river. Such a river is called the Devil's Corner. You know, because it makes a corner, which very few people. We were crazy. We went like this without. We were not prepared at all.
So what did you have for, this is a 1-day hike?
No. Short of a 4 days hike, 5 days hike.
So did you have to camp?
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you.
Okay.
So we crossed that, and then we come up there on the other side. It's Transylvania or something. And we climbed there, and it's evening. So we're in the village. We found the village. And we found a place which will put us up. I never saw so many bed bugs in my life. Couldn't sleep at all. Hey! And they gave us something to eat too, I think, and drink. I think it was the first time I drank wine or something. But so we had fresh, not quite fresh, next morning. Early in the morning when the sun's, and we start climbing again, but we didn't know where we're going. We said we got to go up the mountain and go to the side. It was a 6,000 foot mountain or something. We got to go up. And we were getting desperate because it starts raining. And they didn't like me. We started fighting because I was fast. I said, let's go. They say, but we have to look where we go, they said. And I said, but if we don't go, we'll stay here. You don't have to stay overnight in this forest. No, there's no trail. You have to go up. We knew that there was a highway in the middle, not in the middle, just almost on top. It goes up to top, a kind of highway, built by the fascists. If we found that highway, we can find our way. We couldn't find it, so we went there. But we were bickering all the time. It was not very pleasant. And we were not, we didn't have any thing to defend ourselves against the rain. We had knapsacks, but we were poorly dressed. We were not doing very well. And we arrived, and finally we arrived at the highway, as I said. I told him, you can find that, because we didn't know where we were going. I said, you have to go up to find the highway. Always, we were lost. We were completely lost. It was so immature what he did, completely. Because it's not like in the United States you have trails. It was not a trail. We walked around and among the woods, up. And some places were quite steep. And but we did it. And they were very mad at me that I was fast. No, I'm slow. I thought I was fast. So we came there, however, it was a cabin. It was a cabin up, all the way up. And we said, we want some food. Said, we don't have any food here. We didn't take anything with us. No water, no food, no nothing. I'm prepared. We were for a 4-day trip. 4 or 5 days. They said, we'll give you a cot and we'll give you milk. The only thing we have here is milk. Goat milk. So we said, we'll take milk, We're desperate. Probably we lost 10 pounds each by the time we came back. And then we got up, the most important thing in that is called railroad, that mountain, railroad. The most important thing is to see the sunrise. So we got up at 4:30 in the morning and saw the sunrise. And we had a good time. And then I know we went down. I know what happened after that. I don't remember, but everything was fine. But we went down the mountain. I think that took us another day. And we arrived there And what they do, I don't know with whom they stayed, because nobody was there besides my parents. They stayed with me probably. I know, because we left. Well, no, three of us went back to Bucharest because I was working, they were in school or something, so we went. But we became friends again. But it was quite a experience that people can fight because they are not prepared. See, everybody thought that somebody else wrong, that he is so miserable. We were very miserable. And that was the high, but then I also, there were a lot of little things that...
This was that was in 1947?
46, however, and also in 46 I was supposed to go to a camp of the Mizrahi, the organization. And I came there and I saw how they sleep. They are clean and bunkers and ugly. I said, I'm going to go back to Kimpalung to go and stay there because I like comfort rather than, I had enough, uncomfort. Anyway, so that was really still 46, 47. See, I don't have clear. That's over, how much? It's almost 58 years since. So I don't remember everything. And
so what was with the ships? When that was in 47, that was actually just about when you were...
Right, when I left. But that 46 too. Marcel left in 46, Miguel left in 47.
But the ships that you were finding people to...
Yes, I was making the passports. I was doing the passports for them.
Fake passports or real passports?
No, Russian approved. I told you, the Russia at that time, till 1950s, Russia was very supportive of the Zionists that time because they were against British. In fact, when they declared independence in 1948, Russia is the first one who recognizes them, not America. So, because just only to spite the United States and Britain.
Was it only to spite, or was it to try and get rid of their Jews too?
No. They didn't let the Jews go.
They didn't let them go.
No, so they spite, just for spite. So, for this, they send them all. You see, we left a boat a week or so. We send in very bad condition. The boat which takes 300 people, we put 3,000. It's like they were like this, like in chicken coop, terrible, just terrible condition. But the trip didn't take more than 3 days because it took 2 days till they met the British and the British Navy. The destroyers took them right away to Cyprus. They all went to Cyprus. We knew that. But okay. So we were that. I came back from that trip. That I was working still for the Segal with that place. And by the way, the review had to be censored. Censors there. And Segal knew the guy in the censor, and we paid him off. And he censored. He didn't read it even.
He just signed off on it because you paid him off?
We paid him off. And by the way, there came the time to leave already, Romania. I said, Marcel left and Muriel now, 47. Things are getting bad because besides me making money, my father didn't have anything, so my father, my mother, Muriel, and I got, I got them, that means I did it. I made a passport for us, for 4 of us to go to one of the boats to Israel. I came there to the embarkation center in Bucharest. From there you take a train to go to. And I said, that's crazy. My father did not make it. My father was a sick man. He had a heart attack in between too. After having TB, he had a heart attack. So I said, my father will not make it. He can't do it. So he said, we should try something else. We should try something better. So Miguel says, no, I'll go. And he was very obnoxious about it. He was 1947, he was 17 years old. And he said, I'm going to go. So he went, of course, one of the transports. He was taken to Cyprus too, to meet Marcel. He stayed for another, Miguel stayed only about 5 months, because by after May 15, 1948, everybody from Cyprus went to Israel, because the Jews became, the British just left. They just left. They didn't care that they are warring the Arabs, the Jews. They left. They said they had enough. They said, even they were told by the UN to stay there until something is organized. They said we had it. And so we are staying there, but we got a possibility with my uncle for much money to be able to go to Italy on official with false passports, Romanian passports, to buy Romanian passports, collected passports. I know how that worked. To fly and to go on a boat to Italy. Then we did that. We didn't have the money. We did that on credit, so-called. And my uncle paid me the money. Of course, my uncle was all pissed off. My American uncles.
Where you would take the train to?
Constanza, to the port of Romania.
Where's the port of Romania?
It's down southeast. It's called Constanza.
So you actually had to round Greece and then go?
No, from Bucharest it's not far. It's about we took a sleeper, in fact. We took a sleeper. We really did everything because everything was done on credit. These Arabs organized all this.
Hold on.
Yeah, so
Hello? Hello? Hello?
I can drink, right?
You have your glasses on now.
Anyway, we succeeded in getting false passports and tickets. We took a train. In fact, all my friends, Ada and Monica and Baby and Isaac came to the train. I was very unhappy. I didn't want to leave. See, and that summer, in fact, was one of my. Mom is not here, but here's now. But those are my pleasant summer. I felt that I'm good because I felt like I passed all my exams. I was a free person. The weather was nice. I was going around all of us. In fact, I think Isaac graduated from high school and his uncle, because his father died, and his uncle took us out to one of those garden restaurants with music, cigar, gypsy music, and we had food and wine, and a real thing. And I felt very good, and I felt very bad to leave. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to leave at all. I didn't want to leave Romania. I didn't want to leave my friends. I was very, I'm a traditional classic. I had a feeling I was getting a salary. I doing well in school. I had friends. So everything went for me. I said, why do I have to leave? So I was not happy. In fact, in the way it stopped at Haifa, the boat, and my father made some connection, and he said we could pay and stop in Israel, in Palestine. It was not Israel yet. It was
Haifa is in
Israel.
Israel, and it made the boat stopped in Haifa.
The boat stopped in all places, stopped in Haifa,
Isn't that going in the
stopped
other
in
direction, though?
Istanbul. No, don't say this one. Stopped in Istanbul, Haifa. He stopped all over. Some kind of cruise. And went to Naples.
When you
Went to Marseille, really, via Naples. So I said, I'm not going to Israel. I feel claustrophobic. I'm a great scientist, but I'm not going to Palestine because it's war now. People are fighting. They were still in Cyprus at that time, Marcel and Muriel, and the British are there. They're still fighting.
you knew about where they were, they were writing, or
No, they couldn't.
so you didn't know that they were still in Cyprus at that time.
Yeah, but I think we got Red Cross notices.
Mm.
Anyway, we,
When you first left Romania, did you realize that it was going to be the last time that you you haven't been step foot in Romania since?
but I didn't realize that, I didn't want to. Once, I liked it. I liked Bucharest at this point. That's the only point when I really liked and I felt I had everything. That life was very good for me. Was in the summer of '47, after I passed all my exams, and I was going walking around with my friends and have a great time. So when I left, they all wondered why I didn't kiss Ivanada. I didn't. So we left cold, and I was hoping already, because Isaac Wagner took my place at the organization there when I was working. He was working for me. Anyway,
Had you had any girlfriends before Ada?
no. I told you, I had
Yeah,
infatuations.
girls that-
I had
yeah.
infatuations. So, in fact, we came to Costanza and they told us you cannot board because you don't have an exit permit. Uh-oh. So, we had to go to the telephone company, to call a telephone, to call my assistant, there I work with Siegel. He took over my my accounting to tell him to go to the ministry, purchase. And it says purchase because you have to get a bribe. Everything is a bribe. All right? So, anyway, we left. And it was a nice trip, but it was, I got sick. No, I didn't get so much sick, so other people got much more. My father was sick all the time. Sick, seasick.
Seasick.
Because it was a small boat. It's a boat about, how much boat? 3,000 pounds, 3,000 tons. 3,000 tons.
3,000 tons. Like a
Cruiser.
400, 500 foot,
400 people.
400 foot boat.
Yeah, just about. Right. And there was a girl there again. I got infatuated with that girl on the boat. I came to Naples. It was just a different life. All of a sudden, you could talk, you could say anything, you could do anything, but we didn't have anything. Now here in Naples, we stayed in a hotel. My father collapsed again in a heart attack.
Is this a second heart attack? Or?
Yeah, the second. He had so many. I don't know how he lived so many years. He lived from 1946, he died in 61. Another 15 years, 14 years. Anyway, in Naples, I was miserable because I left. And everybody wanted to make me happy.
And Harry was still in Bucharest.
Right. Only I and my parents.
Morel. No, Morel had gone to Israel.
Who was there was my entire family of our era. They all came. All on credit from my uncle. See, he promised my uncle would pay. My uncle didn't pay. It was just bad. It was bad business. And we were all different names, you know. We didn't have our names, you know. So false passports, you know. We bought them. Were made for us at order.
Mm-hmm.
So we came to Naples and went to hotel. My cousins, you know, I have older cousins now. Well, the cousins, Aurel, Isu, Leo. There are three cousins of Jonah. Jonah was another brother of my mother, who lived in Bucharest. He died during the war. He was the oldest. Jonah was the oldest brother. And he also never made a living in his life. My uncle Samuel, my Aunt Auntie, helped him a lot. He also had a store, a little store. Never did. He and Aaron were the two black sheep of the family. They never made ends meet. So the three boys, however, when the war finished, they decided to try to make money too. There were three boys.
This is all
in Bucharest. And so they took a truck, like my father, but different, because they went from town to town and sold goods. It's like the old itinerary salesmen, you know, like they went to America, they came like this. And they made lots of money. And the Leo, of course, he got pregnant a hairdresser. He was Leo was one of three brothers. He never made money. Only Izu and Aurel. Izu was the oldest, Aurel the younger, he was in between. And they helped him always out, but he always got in trouble because it's a womanizer. Even after he married her, that woman that hairdresser. But they helped us a lot because they lived in Geneva. They left from Bucharest. They took their car. They had a Renault. I remember that. They took their car and they shipped all their furniture. And they got a guy to take pieces of gold because they couldn't carry anything out to put in the furniture instead of iron, you know, nails, all gold. They had a lot of gold, all taken like this, shipped as furniture. They were so smart. And they did very well. They were really well. They did
where were they shipping it?
to Geneva.
To Geneva.
From Bucharest. That was
And then
something, that time, you know, something crazy because you couldn't ship anything. You couldn't do anything without censure, without, customs were so strict. Imagine how many thousands of dollars they had to pay to the customs to go through.
So they shipped it to Geneva and then they came to Geneva?
Yeah.
And you landed in Naples.
Naples, but they came to Naples and they picked us up by train.
Oh, so they were there already.
Oh, they came 6 months before.
Okay.
And we came to, Naples was such a nice place and I didn't enjoy it. I'm such an idiot. I felt that's bad. Like, I missed everybody. So we went to Geneva, right? In Geneva, we stayed in a place, they got a pensione, you know, pensione is a place where you get a room and you stay there, and if you have kitchen privileges, it's a pensione, but all the pensione don't have kitchen privileges, you have to eat there, but this pensione, this was right, that means that was already January 1948. And this was right, the pensione was next door to the police, prefecture police, you know, the center of the administrative center of Geneva. And again, I didn't like Geneva, stay there, but Geneva was such a pretty place to be that time. And now so crazy. It was just, because I was miserable. And anyway, in Geneva, we lived, all of us, just like this, was Aurel, his wife, Lonnie, Lonnie came with us on our passport. Lonnie, Myers' brother, he was put as a child of ours in Mirel. See, we made all kinds of, doesn't matter, who's the passport, well, doesn't matter. Was Lonnie, was Aaron, Paulina, and 4 children. Was, you know, Tica, Cellu, his wife, Borichev. Her name was Borichev.
Mm-hmm.
And Erna and Leon. All this, I mean, how many people are? And Florica, Aurel's wife. Isu, Victoria, 6. Leo, there were 7 there. And 9 us, well, 16 people, all grappers. So now they used to send money from America. They send they sent to Aaron all the money. That was the worst thing to do. No, he was good out and bought a radio. He bought all
Aaron
kinds.
was in America?
Aaron was Erna's father, who didn't make a living ever. But he sent him to take care of all of us. Isaac sent him. Leo, Jerry's husband, who died, Leo, died at 100 also, 99, a year before Mom.
Jerry's uncle.
Jerry's uncle, right?
Jerry's
was a very tough. He and Jerry were tough not to give us money. But Isaac took money from the business and sent us money anyway.
But where were they?
They're in America.
They were in America.
They were in America
right.
for 50 years. They sent us money, and they sent it to Aaron.
Oh, and so he was buying himself.
Oh, he was buying things, he was doing entertainment, he was doing everything. He didn't care. He was spending money like water. Like he would be a millionaire. He felt, because they sent him $2,000. You know how much $2,000? We didn't make a year so much in America, in Romania.
$2,000, but if you break it up in 16 people.
Not for them only, not for the Aurel family. They had enough.
They had their own.
For 6 plus 3 plus
That's
4,
9.
Lonnie, 10 people.
Like 10 people.
It was more than 16, there were 17 people. But for us, 10 people. But you spend them fast, but also we had to eat. And we had to, but he didn't know how to manage money at all.
What about Italian? Were you all speaking, Romanian is close enough to Italian that...
Yeah, we had trouble, but because for instance, for burro, right?
For
butter, burro, in Romania is unt, so he was called unto, give me a pound of unto, which he didn't know what it means.
They were thinking, give me a pound of one something?
Right. But at the same time, there was rationing that, so we had to get rationing from the police. They had to give us rationing because bread was sold only so much per person, or burro, everything was sold by. It was still rationing, and it was just 3 years after the war. It was still rationing, and
the war with Japan ended in 47.
45.
45.
45, but we were there.
What about and the
But
Germans?
we were there at the beginning of 48, right? That was already 2.5 years only from the war finished completely.
Right.
But you're still, the consequences are still felt quite a bit. So it's still a lot of, probably they didn't want us there. They want so badly that we should get away. Every time, Kestura has to give us a permit for 3 months, every 3 months. And every time they ask us, when are you going away? You have a application. We had that, we did that. We could have gone. Now, so my uncle, Joe, and Sam, and even Jack, sent us money, which my father had. My father says, for us. You see, there are two kinds of money. From mother's family and for father's family. But the father's family said very little. You know, they said like $200. You know, they sent us 2,000. But then they didn't want to send anymore because they said, what do? You get tighten your belt. That's what she said. Exactly the words she said. Tighten your belt.
Oh.
Leo called us on telephone and says, tighten your belt. Leo was very, Leo and Jerry didn't want us at all. They didn't want to give us any money. And they say, oh, they support us. It's Isaac who did it. Oh, and Harry. You know who Harry helped the most?
Harry
Grapper. Harry Grapper didn't send thousands, but sent hundreds, but sent us all regularly to everybody. But Harry was very supportive.
So when did Harry Schachter? Didn't Harry come to?
Right, but I tell you the background.
Right.
And we ate mostly home. We never ate out. Couldn't afford it.
Is that when you took up cigars?
No, drum only. I was writing letters, long letters, 20-page letter to Ada. Every day, that was doing. Spending most money in stamps. Because, but not airmail, you know, regular mail, but still a good coin. And in fact, I was sending her also this advertising for, you know, promotion from the parties, the Communist Party, the Demo-Christian Party. See, there was an election coming in April 1948, 3 months. So, in the meantime, we didn't have any perspective for anything. I tried to get Isaac, Nada. I made paper for them. I paid 100. I got them to pay, I don't know how much, to make papers for them. We had papers made for Isaac and Nada. They didn't want to come. I made papers for them to come to, you know, calling paper. Anyway, in 1948 now, April 48 was an election, very important election in Italy. It was the thing which break everything because it was a coalition government, a communist government. The Americans were control really, de facto, or Russia or de facto controlled Romania, right? The Americans in control, they didn't want the communists to win. And they succeeded. See, because the communists were stupid. The socialists were stupid. The socialists were the biggest party. But the communists were second party on the left. The biggest party, there were three parties very important, the Christian Democrats, the Socialists, the Communists. The Socialists, the Communists made a popular front. And they lost. So the Christian Democrats made it together. That's fine. But right after the election, they won, the right won, they had an uprising because Togliatti, the head of the Communist Party, who was in Moscow for entire wartime and all the Mussolini time, he was shot. Not killed, but shot. So it was a general strike in Italy. And people started going to barricades and to shoot. Really it was. And I was going to a trip by trolley. I say I was so always aloof from everybody. I didn't have any contact with my family. I was really a so-called a snob. Quite a snob. I thought that I was so much better. So I went to Nervi, which is a very beautiful place by trolley. It takes about an hour by trolley. When I came back, I see that everybody was upset. Everybody, something was going, no, nothing on the streets. Everybody, and so I said, I'm going to go and see what's going on. I could have been shot. I could have been killed so easy because tanks are on the streets shooting at the insurgents, you know, the strikers. It was a kind of mini revolution.
It was like a mini Tiananmen Square type thing?
Yeah, right, quite. And I was there. I went to see. I was the only one on the street who went there, and I was also, don't forget, I was a suspect because they always thought that coming from Romania, you can become a spy. See, the idea was that I was suspect, but I didn't think about that. I was so immature. I went on the street to see what's going on, and I saw the tanks, and I didn't get scared. But I was home after that. But everything turned out all right. Now, in the meantime, I went and I made Red Cross passports to get some visas to be able to go someplace. So because we came with a visa for Honduras. You see, you had to come with visa in Italy. In Italy was a transit. We came with a visa for Honduras, which didn't exist. It was false, you know. Everything was made up. It was a visa, which was a stamp, which was created. Everything was false. So we went to we got the passports, Red Cross passports, which were correct, not false. In the meantime, we also registered with a joint Jewish distribution, U.S. joint distribution. That's called a joint. They hire us, Hebrew immigration assistants. They really helped us, and we registered them, and we got some assistance from them.
This is 1948 still.
Still 1948, of course. 1948 was a very important year. So, we got a visa for Cuba. For me, for Lonnie, for my father and my mother, 4 of us. Not for Harry because he was not there. I got my passport. I got my passport anyway. But you don't have to be there, just give the name. Get a passport. And we had a visa for Cuba. So we applied for a transit visa to the United States with the thought to remain here illegally.
To remain in the
United States, of course. We didn't want to go to Cuba. So we got a visa. It's very easy. Go there, got a visa. So that happened for a little while. In the meantime, I all but the grappers, the other grappers, all the alleys, they got, and also in the meantime came also Chelu's in-laws came too.
what year? This is
48. Everything
This is still in 48.
Spring of 48 was a big thing. And they got a visa for Argentina from her cousin, Paulina. That means Aaron's wife's cousin lived in Argentina. He was quite old man. In fact, Erna married his son when he came there.
Does that mean that they're related?
Yeah, they were related because Paulina and Aaron are cousins too.
So she married
So-
somebody that she was related to.
Kari and Clara, you're cousins too.
A lot of inbreeding.
Oh, there's lots of inbreeding. Lot of inbreeding. Stop a minute.
So,
We are doing a lot of things. We are going to.
what kind of hikes did you do?
Right, I'll tell the hike in a minute. I'll tell you in a minute the hike.
You were with Wagner, except Wagner and his friend Bebby.
Right, and we became very good friends, and we did a lot of things. We had movies together, we went to concert, and they knew two girls. It was very funny.
What were you doing for a job?
It just I'll tell you, let's go back in that because I started in 1945.
Mm-hmm.
What happened is they had also two girlfriends, no girlfriends, girls, different. We were friends with those two girls. One girl was a girl who lived near us in Watershine, in the place where my sister died, and we are again. Just happened that. And I met her again, and I had the heart for her, right, I liked her now. That time she was about 10, and now she was about 7, let's see, that was 1947,
1947.
47, 9 years later. She was,
No,
she was not 19, she was 7 then. 7, she was about 17 or 16. So she was about 7, 6 or something. So she was a little kid.
When you, well, 9
Yeah.
years before, when you were kind of a little.
Right. And now she was about 16. And, I was 19 already, no? I was 19, it was 1946 when I met her, right? At the end of, beginning of 46 or end of 45, something like that. So we go together, we'll meet regularly, and we made a society called the Misogynous Society, misogyne. That we didn't like
Women?
women. But there was the two women and us three, which is was something to make it interesting, right? So we met often. We read poetry a lot. We did poetry, French poetry especially, Mallarmé, Verlaine, Valéry, Baudelaire, all these guys. So-called, literati. We want to be literati. We made up. And we want to copy it. I want to copy Harry, who was leader literati. In trying to read philosophy, I was reading Nietzsche and Kant and Freud and everybody. I was reading, we used to discuss it. And, we did very much intellectual. And then.
What movies and what kind of things do you remember doing with them? As far as like, because you said that you go to movies and you go hiking.
I remember that I went to a movie like, what's the name? With that mimic, French mimic, and L'Enfant de Paradis, The Children of Paradise. You saw the movie?
Who's
It's
that?
a movie of 45. Children of Paradise, a very, very moving movie. And I remember that movie, I didn't go with them, by the way. I went with Bucu. He came to Bucharest because Bucu, now going back to Bucu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bucu in 40, he was in the Israeli group, in the so-called Jewish division of the British Army. They came from Israel, they enrolled, they volunteered to be in the British Army. And they made a special division for Palestine, Jews. He was the army, British Army. So as a British soldier, he was in Germany, stationed in Germany. So he took trains and he came home to see his family. And he came to see me. And we decided to go to the movies, to the Safari Paradis, and they didn't let us in. So he came there.
Why didn't they let?
British Army. So they had to go. They can't let us in for free, because British Army.
But why wouldn't they let you in?
I didn't have money.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good reason. So, but British Army was going all over. You know, the army, those army occupation, they always have the upper hand. Anyway, that's a movie. The more memorable movie I remember at the time. What other movie I saw at that time? Memorable. The Wizard of Oz, probably. So.
Would have been Casablanca, Citizen
No,
Kane.
Casablanca's later, I'll tell you. Later. In Geneva.
But you didn't see them. You didn't see those yet. But they came out that time.
Yeah, but I didn't see them.
Yeah.
Here I could
Did you
go
see many
with
American?
Butch, I could go to the first showing movies because it was very expensive. When I went to Geneva, I didn't have any money, so I went to movies where I paid 50 liras. You know what 50 liras was? 10 cents. 10 American cents was 50 liras. So that's what I was paying for a movie. There had to be second or third showing. Third showing here, or fourth showing. See, the cheaper they get, the more showing. So, and I became friends, and became friends also with, it's very funny, I became friends with Monica's mother and with Anna's mother. I told you mothers like me. So I was I looked much older than I was. I was like now. So they thought I'm an older man. But they like to talk with me. They thought like Puyo's mother also liked to talk with me. Mina, that's Shama's wife. But this mother still. And
So when that's in 1947.
that's in 1946.
46.
And but also, you know, Ada will. I used to go to often with Ada to the movies, alone with Ada. And when she, but we really were not. We didn't have any so-called romantic attachment. Even I realized after that, when I left for Geneva, that she thought that we have romantic attachment. I did not have it. I liked her as a friend, but she thought that I liked her as a woman, so that's different. So anyway, at that time, I started also working. At a group, the religious group of Zionist organization, they took over a building, a rental building in a nice section, and the group was called Torah V'Avodah, Torah and Work. It was a religious working party. It was the middle class. It was three groups. Were the Bnei Akiva, which was the young people, which I was beginning before I was in here. Torah V'Avodah and Mizrahi. Mizrahi is the overall, elderly, overall. I was in Torah V'Avodah. And I was going there, and I met this guy Segal. What's his first name? Segal. Anyway, and I said, listen, let's have a, see, I was working volunteer first. he said, let's have to make a newsletter, to send kind of. And I started that, and kind of news and literary poems, everything, combination of like a student paper. And then he said, he started making money. That's how we make money. We got paid, kind of bribery. We got paid for people who want to go to Israel. That means they pay us that we should arrange for them to go illegally to Israel. What happened is the Russian who were in charge, they decided the British didn't want the Jews to come there. They want to annoy the British as much as possible. So what they did, they gave us visas to go. And they let us buy ships, which are leaving not from Romania, but from Bulgaria, from Varna. And they are going by train to Varna from Bucharest. But we need the money for that, right? So we said the people who had money, they said that we want to go, even illegally, you have to pay us. Then we got a lot of money. And so we got money because we arranged that. We arranged this so-called bricha. Bricha means run away.
You arranged the
illegal migration.
So you were offered ships, but you had to pay for the ships. And you had to get
Yes.
people that had money to
Right.
pay for it, even though you weren't actually allowed to leave.
Right. In fact, in 1946, 1945, Marcel had a visa. My mother didn't want him to let go. So they gave 1,500 visa a year. 1,500, the British. So my mother didn't let him go, so the visa was taken by Marcel's name, the visa was taken by another guy with Marcel's name, and left by a guy who was the brother of a friend of mine, a rabbi who was professor at Yeshiva University, so very complex.
But Marcel left for...
Marcel left for Israel, but
In
he
1945.
didn't leave.
But in 1945...
He left after that. A few months later, he left illegally, and he was miserable. He had to stay for 2 years, and
Why didn't she let him leave?
I don't know what's happening. My father was sick. I don't know what's happening. In the meantime, I was working with Segal. They are doing this
Newsletter.
newsletter, and then this newsletter we decided to make a journal, and you can see it in my house. I have copies, because I sent it to Molly and she kept them. A kind of journal, literary journal, very towards Island, and I was writing 2 or 3 articles in it, usually. And we gave it to printer and we sent it out, and I sent it to my relatives in America, and Molly kept it. See, Aunt Melanie, Beverly's mother,
Right.
kept it. And because of this, he asked me then to take care of accounts. So I became the Gizbarut Arashit, means the head financial officer of the Torah Avodah in Romania. I took care of this money. It never balanced. I didn't steal 1 cent.
I'm gonna run out.
Okay?
You never balanced, but you never...
I don't
you
know
didn't...
why. I didn't say, look, I do a bank statement to balance. I don't know why. I don't think Segal stole either. I don't think nobody stole, really. We had a say. But both of us have keys. But it's all.
You gonna be passing by?
Tell me when I'm ready.
Right.
So,
So we're in 1944, and what was
we were liberated by the Russians.
liberated by the Russians. Actually, before we get into more,
Yeah.
tell me about friends of yours before the war.
But I said my friends were the fellow who lived right next door, Butsu, remember that? He went to Israel. In fact, we did a collection of stamps. When he moved first to Bucharest. He moved to Bucharest in a training camp for going to Israel. It's called Akshara, which is a training camp for going to Israel. And then he took our collection of stamps with him. And I was a little annoyed about that. But we were quite close friends. Then was Arnel. Arnel was a fellow who lived down the street, and we were together a lot. And he, when we got those, remember I said that we received 2 refugees, 2 girls?
Right.
Arnel married one of them. I think I mentioned that before in the wedding.
Right.
Then was what were the friends I had? I don't remember them.
What kind of things did you do with them when you were younger? What kind of games did you play?
I didn't do very much. We damn near played games. I tried to type. What I do more about that, about 1944, I made friends with some younger girls, younger because I was 18, right, 44, and the girls were 16, that's still very young, and we used to listen to music together. That's why I got involved in classical music. But let's see, who was our other friends I had. Was friends which I made at Zionist groups. And there was Puyo. Remember I spoke about Isaiah Salzberger? He was Puyo. Puyo was a second cousin.
What does a Zionist group?
That people want to go to Israel.
They just want to go to Israel, or just that they believe? Like, what do you do if you're a Zionist group?
Well, you get together and discuss. I think it means you prepare yourself to go to Israel, spiritually. And I was, in fact, a Zionist, a religious Zionist, quite. I was, but later I'll say about this thing, because more about that, Bucharest. But here, till 1944, not very much, because they weren't allowed. We met in clandestine in synagogues, which were still open, in the shul. And there was Puyo was with me all the time. Puyo was probably the closest to me. Puyo and I did lots of things together. For instance, we translated the entire geography of Palestine from Hebrew to Romanian. And we were not great in Hebrew. We were hard for us, but we did all right. I took lessons also in Hebrew from a teacher at the time.
Israel at the time didn't exist.
No, Israel started May 15, 1948.
So you were just Palestine. When you talk about translating Palestine, you're actually translating part of it.
Right, Palestine was that time.
What is Israel too?
And the Puyo, we were quite close, but Puyo, then he shifted from religious group to the liberal group, so-called liberal Zionist, because he said, I'm not religious, why should I be here? He was correct. I was not religious by that anymore either, but it was inertia kept me there. And there are other acquaintances, but friends as Puyu, Arnell, Butsu. They're my the close friends, which I mentioned now. The other ones were, acquaintances more than friends. Probably I'll remember later some, I would say.
What about girlfriends?
Girlfriends, no. When I was in ninth grade, I was infatuated with a girl called Libertuzza. I liked her. She was 13. The entire school knew about. That was already the Jewish school.
13.
She's crazy. She's the most beautiful woman.
Ninth grade is about
I was 15.
1940?
1940, right. About the time when they put us out just that year from school where I worked. But that was is a girl whom I really liked. But then I forgot about her. And there were other, but then it's after the war. Because still were very little, you see, because we're not allowed to date, because we're not allowed to be on the street after certain hours, curfew, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not very much. Oh, another friend I had, which is quite an intellectual, which is a friend Harry too, is Eli Rukenstein. He became a professor after that, and he was left wing that time. He became a very right wing. All the Romanians became right wingers. I don't know why. When the communists came there, they became right wingers. See, for a while they became all left wingers. You were opportunists. They became very left.
They just opposed the authority.
But then the left came, they became right wingers. They became they emigrated, most of them. See, remained about 300,000 Jews remained in Romania, but they killed about 70% of them, about 700. So most of them, from 300,000 to about 300,000, only about 30,000 remained in Romania. They all went to Israel. Because Romania, after, I'm going a little ahead, Romania, when Ceausescu came, Romania was a maverick in the communist world. And was very independent of that. When everybody broke relations with Israel, well, the communist countries, Northern Romania, kept the relations. They were very friendly.
So, okay, so let's pick it up again in 1944.
44, it's
just been liberated by the Russians.
Right. And so we all thought that here is the millennium is coming, because for us it was a big change. And that we really were, for Jews, even the Russians said we keep all they got big poster that all the laws, local laws will be kept. We didn't come here to change any policy, any politics. Not true, of course. And the Harry and his friend Misha and other by that time, they were older. They were ready. They were supposed to be university, but they were not because we couldn't. We decided to create a public library. So the town, which was Uncle Meyer. Now I forgot the name. Remember Lonnie's father, Uncle Meyer. Uncle Meyer was a big shot. He became so-called the acting mayor. The acting mayor was not the mayor. The official mayor had to be a Romanian because the law says that no Jews can't have any jobs in the government, right? So we found a street cleaner who remained Romanian, and we made him mayor. Because there's nobody Romanian there, there was only a street cleaner left. And he said, look, you'll be mayor. But really the factor mayor was
Uncle Meyer.
So Uncle Meyer does the power. Anyway, I associate myself with this older, for me older, right? Harley's age. I was, how much old was I? 1944? 18?
18.
When they came out, I was not 18 yet, but just almost. So we acquired a building, a very elegant building, an elegant area. Yeah, and also we used to requisition every day a horse and buggy, you know, a truck, by horses, poor guys. They had to make a living, but we requisitioned it. We were very tough. And we went through all the boyars. Boyars are the noblemen who lived, who had a land around Botoshan. They lived in Botoshan. There's an area which all the boyars lived. What they did, they lived on rent, an income from the land, but they never visited the land. They were just parasites. And they were it's called boyari. Anyway, what we did, we went to they allowed us to go to every of these houses which abandoned, in a sense, because all they left, right? They ran away. Everybody who ran away became property of the state. The state was the Russian.
Their stuff became property of the state.
Right. The Russian took the pianos, they took the everything, paintings. It's true that the Romanians, when they were in Russia, in Odessa, they came to Odessa, they came to Romania, they shipped home everything which they could find because they killed all the Jews. And also they killed Russians too, Ukrainians, and they sent everything home by carload.
So the Russians felt justified because they were recollecting.
Yeah, they said, we'll take them back, in a sense. I feel that they were justified, but they did something else. We used to have a electric power system with 3 generators. That's all, 3 little generators for the entire town. Russia decided that they needed generators. They built the rail from the station to the gare, which we call gare too, like in France, gare. And we built a railway to go till the plant, the electric plant, and took 2 generators, the big generators, and left us a little generator, which could not supply electricity. So we didn't have electricity for a long time. They give about a couple of hours electricity a day, so sometime. But they took even that, you know, but, all right, that's aside. One thing which we did also, which I think I told you, but I'm not sure, that before the Russian came, we decided not to have any alcohol in town. So we spilled all the bottles of vodka, of raki, of wine. There was no alcohol in town. They were so mad. They wanted vodka, booze, and women. 3 things they wanted. So, no, they wanted vodka, you know, tobacco.
Vodka, tobacco.
And also, they met you, they took the watches. They used to have, because in Russia, they didn't have watches. People have watches, the Russians had watches about 10 watches like this on their hand. Because they stole them all. And women were in danger, really. But they managed. Anyway, but that's all over. The Italian women are in danger, and the Americans came the same way. So, to go back to my story about the library, so we took these books and made a nice library, and there we made lots of friends like this. But I was very tough, in fact. I found 2 books in my cousin's house, which belonged to one of his boyars, and I said I'm going to denounce her if she doesn't bring the book, or he or she doesn't bring the books back to our library. They couldn't believe it. I was so tough. I was such a fundamentalist. I think for the state, that's it. The Russian authorized to make a library. They gave it authority, right? In charge was Misha was in charge. So we tried to build a real library. We didn't have a city library. And those guys, they had, collection of beautiful, very, classic books, such a collection, wonderful, full rooms, library. So, also some professors left, of course, many professors, teachers, teachers but they had libraries too. We took them, all of them, as much as we could.
Mm-hmm.
I was big, and we were very busy classifying, cataloging. Also, we gave concerts. One of the people had a pickup. They had already a pickup. Record player. Record pickup, and when the electricity was on, we could have some music. And I learned about Beethoven. And they had already. They didn't have long playing, because I remember that in order to hear the Ninth Symphony, we had 8 records. So, but 8 records, the pickup, it goes down. So they go by themselves.
You mean it automatically switched through the records, like a?
I don't know. Maybe we stole from someplace. I don't know. We found it anyway. It was there. The library had concerts. That was the concerts we had.
Oh, those are the ones that Does it automatically?
Right, but we had the record place like this. Supposedly, it could work like that.
It can drop one record at a time.
Record at a time, right.
So you play one and then it'll move off and it'll drop another one.
Right. Anyway, that was what we did. That's the time when I told you that Darnell tried to convince me not to become a Zionist, to leave Zionism and join the Communist Party. And
this is still 1944?
This is 1944, right. And we had a member discussion for all night to discuss with that. Of course, Arnel became, after that, he was in the army, and then he left for Israel. He was in Israel, not a communist anymore. Anyway, that was 44. In 44, I took my equivalence exam because I finished my 8th grade, my 12th grade. So none of us finished 12th grade, no school. So they gave us equivalence exam, which was a joke, really. Now I can say it. It was a joke in the sense that they didn't demand very much. Because I never took Greek, for instance. I had to take an exam in Greek, 2 years of Greek. I don't know how I passed it. I passed everything. Then I had to take the regents, Matura, baccalaureate. I didn't want to go to commercial school because I finished the commercial high school, not the scientific high school or the literary high school. So I had to take another equivalency. I took an equivalency for literacy high school, not liberal arts high school, not for science, 19%. But then I needed science too. I took everything. Then I took an exam, the baccalaureate, for both of them. I took for science and for. I was busy in 44, I knew that I need. If you don't do it that time, and everything was was easy compared. Still it's very nerve-wracking. Because of 12 people, people who knew this stuff. They are mostly Jews, but still they are tough because they're Jews. They are tough because they're not really expert professors, the teachers. They are people, like I told you, which were our teachers. They're lawyers, doctors, people without a job. But they are tougher than they should be. But on the same side, they told us what should be. It didn't require to have it everything, because they couldn't. So by the end of 1944, by the fall of 1944, by 44 or by 45, I don't know now, I don't remember exactly. Anyway, between 44 and 45, I got all my exams, went to Korea. I could go to university.
44 was D-Day in 44?
No, 45. 45, May 10.
D-Day was
May
May
8, May 8. I think May 8. May 8, right. And the V-Day, VJ Day, that means Japanese, was in August. So probably was in 1945. I don't remember exactly if I finished 44 or 45. I know that I wanted very badly to move to Bucharest because I say here's nothing to do. Everybody tries to move. Harry moved already to Bucharest and he was there at the university because here he was legitimate. I was illegitimate, but he was legitimate.
Mhm.
You know, he had all his schooling legitimate.
Right.
But I was a product of the war more than him because I was interrupted. Was the worst product of the war was Marcel because he didn't get any schooling because of that.
Mhm.
He was the worst. Mirel was lucky because they put, after the War of Independence in Israel, they put him in school, so he could finish. So everybody had, see, Harry was lucky in a way, and lucky in other ways, but he was accepted to university for metallurgical engineering. That he wanted, I don't know. Mining, metallurgy.
Mm.
Anyway, that was 45 was very, you know, a year when we start trying to. I went to Bucharest. Let's see, when I went to Bucharest, yeah, I went to Bucharest for a while with. Because as I see, there were no trains. It was a train which came a special train, and my uncle Aaron had some connection, and that train could go. Anyway, it took us 5 days, for about 4 days, that's about Bucharest, like, from New York to Boston, but it was 4 days to go. Because they didn't have locomotives, they didn't have fuel, they didn't have right of way. So, I don't know why I went to Bucharest at that time.
In 45.
Oh, yeah, 44.
In 44.
At that time, my father could said, now is the time to do some business. And he made trips. See, we were short on everything in Botoshan. Everything which you buy, will sell. There's such a much a shortage of food that he will bring, you know, food and everything, glass. He was renting a truck and going to Bucharest, bringing things from Botoshan. He was doing kind of a jobber and bringing back things, or stuff from Bucharest, like halva.
He's like the guy in the jail that can get you things.
Right. He and another guy, two of them together did that, but he did the traveling. And the third guy was the guy who was in the place, was Puyu's father, Shama. I told you, Shama was married to Mina, who was Shama, the second cousin, was the brother of Samuel. Shama's brother of Samuel. Samuel, the husband of Eti, Bucharest.
Mm.
So we are related, but second.
Sounds like almost everybody was slightly related.
Yeah, we are very much related. And but that brought us income really, because you know, you could buy for 10 cents a pound, sell for $1 a pound. That meant lots of work. the weather there is not very good. In the winter of 44, 45, for instance, my father did that. And we were still at war.
Mm-hmm.
And that means Romania became allied with Russia in in August 44. Romania capitulated. And the Germans tried to fight Romania now and occupied Hungary. At the time, 44 was the time when Eichmann did the most of the killing. It's 44, not with 44 did most of the killing because he realized the war was coming to an end. Rather than using the railroads to help the army to fight because not any more fighting, we'll try to get rid of the Jews. He did a very, very accelerated pace, but also they did it in places where there was not before. Hungary, mostly Hungary. But half of Romania was Hungary, was Transylvania, where half the Jews lived. So they are killed all, the Hungary and Transylvania, because Hungary was a fascist state, but the Jews were not so bad off till 1944, when Romania capitulated and Hungary was occupied in 44 by German troops. And then Eichmann started doing the killing in Romania and Hungary.
But Romania was already occupied and allied with Russia.
But part of Romania, which was given to, remember I told you, part of Romania was Transylvania, was given to Hungary in 1940. Remember I said 1939, in 1940, right? And when Russia was given Bessarabia, Bukovina. Remember I said that before.
Right.
So that's the time when Eichmann he wanted to kill. Anyway, my father was kind of a traveling salesman, but for himself. He was an entrepreneur. But it required a lot of stamina. He didn't have it. He was not a well man. It required somebody should travel all night on roads, bad roads, right? macadam, most of places.
Mm-hmm.
The only macadam roads were in Transylvania, which the Austro-Hungarian built something. So they also the weather was terrible. Fall, winter in Romania, it's like fall, winter in New England.
Right.
But he was traveling in an open truck, with a cover, cover the
A tarp?
tarp. And he was traveling in the back, not in the front. There was no room in the front for anybody. So he was traveling in the back.
Did they own this truck?
They rented the truck.
So they rented a driver with it?
Driver. They rented a drive, somebody who had a truck. He drove it back and forth in about twice a week. And my father got very sick by the end. He got again TB. So he had to stop. And that's the time when they decided then to move to Bucharest. We moved in 46. To move to Bucharest to in order to to open a store with his partner who was in Romania, Bucharest, who did those traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, he first he opened a store, and he rented a place, a nice place, with 3 bedrooms, so forth, and then said, my mother said, no, we can move, shouldn't move, we stay here. And my father said, but I have to travel back and forth if I don't move. Anyway, I don't know what's happening, but we gave up the apartment.
So he rented it. Did you all move?
No.
Or you didn't even move?
No, not yet. Finally, we lost that apartment. We found another one, much smaller, with 2 bedrooms and a bathroom with shower. Still with no central heating, of course. It's wood. with rats again. Every place rats. Romania's a rat country. And but we had cats here, so it's much better. Well, not there's rats. The Bodashan rats kill cats. There's cats that kill rats. Anyway, we found another place, which was smaller, I said, but in Bucharest. So we talked about moving. See, I want to move before the university starts. So we moved, I think, in spring of '46 or the end of '45. I don't remember now. Harry would know. Everything Harry would know. But Harry lived already there. He lived together with Benny Meirovich, the guy who I spoke before, was a friend of Harry. Harry lived there. He was in university. But we were not there yet. So we, well, in the meantime, I made my friends. I started liking some girls, friends were a friend of Harry. Harry had a girlfriend, Trudy, Trudy Cohen. And he was very close. And her sister was 16, and I was friend with, I told you about before, the 16-year-old girls. And I liked them, but they didn't care for me, and I didn't care for them so much. But one of them, got married. She's 16, married a guy who was 26, was a doctor, just in order to take care of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that we had musicals now, in 45 and 46, before I left, in her house. So, it was a time which I didn't do very much. I did a lot of readings, very much reading, and I didn't do very much studying. Yeah, I studied like always. I studied language. I always read English, read French, German, 3 languages. I know Italian. I didn't think about Italian. French, German, and English. And but then I don't know to tell about more about the Sharn, but I know that we decided to move finally to Bucharest. And then
were you working in that time? Were you?
No, Botoshan I did not work. See, that's the time when I start working. Botoshan, what did I do in Botoshan? I don't know. I worked in Bucharest. So it was about 45, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was the end of the war, just before the end of, I think in 45 we moved. I'm not sure, I think 45. Maybe in 46, I know. I was there in 46 because I went to university in 46, that means I had to be there before. So in 45, in the meantime, Marcel left. I told you, Marcel left for Israel and was put in a concentration camp by the British in Cyprus. In 45 also, I went there once before we moved. We had an apartment, and to see what's going on. So I went there 45. We had an apartment in 45. I took a train. I remember that terrible trip by train. That there were no seats, and I stayed on the rack. On the rack for the train. They're third class, but they had racks for luggage. I stayed there.
On the rack.
On the rack from till Yassi. And then there the train says it doesn't go anymore, so I stayed a day in Yassi, and I went to a relative of mine, and the only thing I asked for a piece of bread and water. His brother, we didn't have it. It was terrible. It was a terrible trip. So I arrived in Bucharest and I had a key from my own new house, new apartment. It was an apartment like house which was three apartments. We had one. And we didn't have any furniture. So I slept on the floor, me and Ellie Rukenstein, I said, from Botoshan, that intellectual, became writing professor, great professor. And he was one of the most promising young men in entire high school. Just brilliant. And he was a friend of Misha and of Hani. More than me, he was my age. We were graduating at the same time. But he was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
He is now in Canada, I think, or in Israel, I don't know, in Israel maybe. Anyway, he became a professor in Bucharest. He became a professor in Bucharest. He was a Bucharest professor.
How old was he?
My age.
And he became a professor.
But he became a professor very young. He was about in the 20s, he became a professor in Bucharest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was very brilliant under the communists. He was very brilliant. And so I stayed with him there. They were very poor. We didn't have bread. We still tried to get a bread. A bread and water. We were so dirty. We found lice and that. It was terrible.
So this was when your family had moved. And you moved to Bucharest.
Yeah, moved to Bucharest to be able to go to school. They came later.
So who was you and Harry?
Harry was taking me. Harry stayed. But Harry was smart. Harry was going for dinner to my aunt. I didn't like I didn't like Gandeti very much. I told you, since I was 12.
Right.
So, but Harry went there and have dinner and lunch there. I came once there and I didn't like, he said, oh, come for dinner. I said, I'm very busy. So, I did not see very much. But Harry, he had his friend, he lived with his friend. And his friend, oh God, so many bed bugs there in his friend's house. Oh, I couldn't sleep at night. I slept one night there. I don't know why, but it was. So Harry had they all slept, they were all together. Harry had a bed and a closet and rented the place. It was, limited because we didn't have to pay tuition. Universities, public universities, free. But you had to get in only. Harry, of course, took the exam and passed, no problems. I didn't take the exam, I got scared. So, my father knew the secretary of the Socialist Party, who was still in government. See, they got out of government in March 46. That has to be in 45, really, because they're still in government till the communists took over. So anyway, and he interfered that I should be accepted the so-called at the Polytechnic, where they were a major in textile chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go in textile chemistry because my father told me so. Meantime, before my father told me that, I was accepted, enrolled in School of Philosophy, Latin and Philosophy, which was, my father says, you want to become a professor, a teacher? You want to be a star? It's called a melamed. In Romania, melamed is a teacher in Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
In a melamed, and a star, so you don't die of hunger, like all of them. All the teachers in Bodoshan are doing very badly, doing worse than today, let's say, street cleaners in terms of what they made money. Really doing badly. So
that's why Romania hasn't gone that far as a world power.
No, but more than that, and then he said, okay. I said, okay, I'll go there. I stayed both universities. You see, they don't separate, separate. You can go in any university. That's not the same university. That's Polytechnic and that's the University of Bucharest. So, but the University of Bucharest, there's a philosophy. If you come there, it's fine. There are no exams. So by the end, you have to take exams. Like
Right. But you don't have to show up for every class. You just have to take.
But Polytechnic, the chemistry, textile chemistry, tell me something. Was below
Textile chemistry.
textile engineering, textile chemistry, but it's below. It's like saying that's more of a school like Windward rather than like MIT. Harley went to school like MIT, and I went to school like Windward.
Wentworth.
Wentworth. You know one that you
The one right next to Northeastern.
Right, something like that. More technical rather than, we are not concerned so much about, but we had courses too, I forgot. We had courses in Marxism. Of course, I had to know all 4 volumes of Marx. And I forgot, we had that. I thought that we had one engineering. No, but we had that. And then I didn't have Harry to help me. And I did all right. I took course in.
So you were living in Bucharest, and you were living with various friends and.
No, I was living by that time already. No, I was living by myself for a while, and then my parents came. They moved in. My parents and Mirel on high school.
So what were your college? What was it like to be going to college, and what was like the social life and?
Oh, social life. Well,
when you were living alone.
I'll tell you about social life. I had social life there. So we, because that was like work that time now, really. But the college itself was courses like mechanical engineering, physics,
Right.
Everything what you took in engineering and math and drawing, drafting. That was terrible. I had to take drafting. I took drafting. Why do you need drafting for textile? I don't understand.
Draw out patterns.
But it's not easy for me. All this, neither mechanical, how do you call it? Course called mechanics, and nor they did appeal to me really. Let's see. What course I got? Chemistry, inorganic and organic, and all this. And I go, I was not very good in chemistry either. I don't know, maybe. But I did well. Let me tell you why I did well. I'm very planner. I'm a little smart. When came the time to take exams, in 47, July 47, you take all the exams. You can take exams 3 times a year. In July, November, and February. Starting in July for the year. For the entire year, you take 1 exam, right? That's not easy to keep. I took, let's say, 8 courses for the year, right? 8? No, 12 courses for the year. 12 for the year. I had to take 12 exams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my colleagues, I don't remember any of them. I don't remember any of them. We had 40 in our class, or 35. My colleague says, we'll take some exams now, some exams in July, some in November, something in February. I said, I don't want to be bothered in the summer. In the summer I want to go to Kimpulung.
To what?
The mountains, to hike. I want to go hiking like you are, you like that.
Did you used to go camping?
No, camping I hated. Camp's a bad word. But I used to go hiking in the mountains. And I told about my 2 friends there, which I'll tell you in a minute. So, but the guy said, you're crazy, come and take 12 exams. Can't. You never pass. I said, I'll take a chance. We were about 5 who took all the exams. All of us passed all exams. All 12 exams. I didn't figure out 1. That was just something ridiculous, because I wasn't that good as some of my older colleagues are a little better than me. But they postpone, you forget also. When you postpone, you forget, I have to take it out of the way. So I was already finished my grad. I even didn't think it had to go away, you know. I said, well, let's get my degree now. You know, I did very well. I finished everything with, you know, with good grades too.
Mm-hmm.
Like the grade is, I think, was 20 out of 100. And I got all 20, so I got well. I don't know how.
20 out of 100?
No, 20 out of 20, I mean.
20 out of 20?
Yeah, 20 out of 20. But I did well. I was so surprised myself, you know. It's just, how could I? But you see, I had most of the exams were oral, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And those teachers were so nice, the guys who had dared to do that, to take the exam in July. And they were nice, they helped us along. They said, oh,
they kind of...
Schachter, do you think that's right? Do you think that's right? And I said, maybe, let's see. He said, but you know, mechanics, I remember mechanics, he told me, I solved the problem, he gave me a problem, I had to do it on board, but I did it very, you know, going around, rather than doing that. He said, why should you do simple if you can do more complicated? I said, well, but he got result. He says, true enough, can't complain. He got the result was there, but I don't know why I did that. I did that, the mechanical, you know, mechanics, they can do different things.
Yeah.
You know, I did the most complicated thing, of course. This is how I failed my statistics exam when I was in my PhD. Because I did it very complicated, just very simple. So anyway, here I am, now in the meantime...
What year? 1946?
47.
47, okay.
1947. Now in the meantime, I knew this fellow Isaac Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
From Botosan, and he was younger than me. He was 2 years younger, or 1 year younger. And we made friends, and then we attached again, and we became again friends in Bucharest. Boots, in the meantime, went to Israel, so he was not there. And only Wagner, and through Wagner, I met a friend of his called Baby Manashku. And he said, Wagner, we were three close friends. We went all over, went hiking, went all over together. And so it's very funny that I didn't have a phone and he didn't have a phone.
Hold on.
Can you stop it?
Yeah.